Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are going to talk all about frequency today, and I'm so excited to talk about this topic because I hope that it helps you look at the world a little differently, just like everything else we're talking about, but help you understand why some things might work in your life and why some things might not, and how to tell the truth from information that is high frequency to low frequency, because I will tell you, some of it out there is a massive, big illusion, and it's so easy to get lost in it. If you're anything like me, at a very young age and for many, many years, I tried so many different things out there to help change my life, from religions to spiritual practices to therapy to physical ways of trying to solve problems. I mean, you name it. And nowadays there's a bazillion trends. And if I was still doing that to this day, I think I would really lose my mind. But back then, I just kept concluding that if none of this is working for me, I must be the problem. There must be something wrong with me. I must be broken in some way or missing something, because no matter what I do, I am still absolutely miserable, highly depressed. Nothing in my life is going the way I want it, and I feel just so unhappy. And I'm having the same problems I had 5 years ago, the same repetitive lessons over and over again. So nothing was working. And it wasn't until I understood frequency and energy that helped me put a much bigger view on what was actually happening. So let's talk about frequency first. Frequency is the rate in which energy vibrates at. It can vibrate very slowly or very fast. The difference is just the restriction around that light. So if you have a ball of light and there's a bunch of rubber bands around it, that's obviously going to restrict the light from vibrating and expanding. Now, if you have a ball of light that has no rubber bands on it, it's going to be very expansive. So there is actually a scale from 1 to 1,000 that measures frequency. 1,000 is that limitless energy that is so expansive, there's no limitations on it. It's that high conscious understanding, no fear, all of that. Then you have 100, and that is the most fear-based, restricted light that exists. Now, there is absence of light, which clocks at a 0, but that's a whole other topic that we'll talk about more in detail. But just the spectrum of light energy goes from 100 or 1 to 1,000. We all have a frequency. Everything on this planet that is energy has a frequency. It has a measurement of the rate in which it's vibrating at. And it's all dependent on the limitation that goes around the light. Now, if we are trying to have a more expansive consciousness, then we need to remove those limitations, those beliefs, those fears that are those rubber bands that restrict the light from being expansive. And there are 3 sections that I kind of broke it into to help understand the different stages of souls evolving. So there's the first section, 1 to 400. These are the souls who are here to just know that they have to love themselves. They have to put themselves first. And it is just focusing on that. Now, in every lifetime, we usually move 0.4 to 0.6, measurements on the measurement scale. So it's not much. It takes many lifetimes to get through 1 to 400. And the only thing that will actually move it faster is higher frequency information. And you can jump in chunks. But if you don't have that information, if you don't go out looking for evolving yourself, it's a 0.4, 0.6 growth spurt. It is kind of slow. But it gives you an idea of how many lifetimes it takes to move through the frequency scale. And like I said, the first section is the souls that are here just to know that they have to love themselves, that they have to put themselves first. And after doing that many, many, many lifetimes, they understand that that is the best way to take care of themselves. And that's a whole topic we can get into, because I know a lot of people might listen to this or watch this and go, oh, that's very selfish. But I promise you, the only way you can help people evolve is if you are at 100%. It is the only way. So that is the first section. Once you master that section, you go into the 400 to the 700 range. These are the souls who are here. I call them the bleeding healers. They're the ones that know they have to help the world evolve, but they don't have the practice of mixing, putting themselves first with that. It's like the added pressure that goes on top of making sure they take care of themselves and love themselves. So it's many lessons of learning how to juggle and stay balanced within it all. And that is from the 400 to the 700 frequency. Again, as you're mastering things, your light is expanding because you're removing limitations and lower frequency belief systems off of your light, off of your mind. So your consciousness is expanding to bigger picture point of views, a new way of looking at the world. Now, if you go to the 700 to the 1000 frequency, these are the souls that are here just to evolve the planet. They're the shakers. They're the ones that can trigger a lot of people. They're the ones that are going to think outside the box. They're the ones that are here just to evolve the planet. It's not really here for the human experience. It's just to help the planet raise in frequency. Now, we have the 1000 frequency is like Buddha and Christ. So you can get 1000 frequency in this realm. But when we all go back up to the light, that is that source energy, that 1000 frequency energy. So our job or our mission in this realm is to expand our light and understand how to use our system and make sure that our light is the most limitless, expansive experience that we could possibly have so that we can help others get there. Now, sounds pretty easy in the sense of, okay, we just have to keep climbing the ladder. But there is so many variables in this entire matrix of energy that can keep you very trapped in certain frequencies and not realizing that you're looping and you don't have higher frequency information to move you forward. Like I was saying, I was on a quest to change my life and everything I was trying wasn't working. And it wasn't until I understood this scale and how to measure frequency. I use my intuition to test frequency, but once you understand this scale and how to measure it, you can really understand why something won't work for you. For example, acupuncture, nothing wrong with it at all. It ranges in the 200 frequency to the 140 frequency. If you are a soul that is wanting to grow and evolve, and you can vibrate at a 450, if you are evolving and growing and you're trying acupuncture, it won't work because it's a lower frequency for you. So you will try it and nothing will happen. You're going to need tools and information that are higher frequency that pull you forward instead of just giving you actually what you already have in your system and you're able to do. This is what I love to teach, is that spiritual means you have everything within you. That 1000 frequency is when you're aware of it all within you. So acupuncture is something that is outside of you. We actually have the power to give ourselves that type of energy from within. So as you're evolving down the scale, or up the scale, not down, up the scale, you are actually waking up parts of you that are more expansive, which means you have the ability to actually give yourself acupuncture in your body. For example, I know how to do energy work on people. And a lot of people are like, oh, do you do Reiki? That again is energy through me to somebody. I just directly send it the highest frequency way to somebody. I know that I have the ability to do what acupuncture does, but through me. That is the higher frequency way of doing it. Again, absolutely nothing wrong with any of them. It's just knowing where these things land so you understand that this is not a you problem. It might just be an information or tool problem. For so long, when I thought it was my fault and I was broken, I turned on myself versus realizing I just don't have the right information. I don't have the right tools. And to be fair, 98% of the planet is under 400 frequency. So if you're going to try to go above that, most of the information out there is going to keep you in that frequency. So it's not going to work. Now, another factor to keep in mind, and this is where you can get really trapped in the matrix, and why I really want to share as many of these tools as possible with you guys, because it was me understanding how energy works and playing with it that helped me get out of these traps that happen. And a big thing to keep in mind is there is a lot of information out there that sound really high frequency and they're not. And there's a few reasons why. As you grow in frequency and become lighter, you also have to master and know how to keep your own vessel clean and clear of taking that information and not using your own traumas and human fears and experiences and putting a stamp on it. That's one reason. Another thing you need to know is that as you become brighter, there is the absence of light that will try to alter your light and pull you down. That is a whole other topic, but I want to mention that because there's two things that can dilute high frequency information. So somebody can channel this brilliant, life-changing information, but if they are doing it through their own human traumas, which is hard to get out of the way, one of the ways of doing that is through reflections that we talked about in episode 1. There's many other things to make sure those things are not in the way, but there's so much human in a lot of information. A great example is the Bible. The Bible has a lot of high frequency concepts and information and knowledge in it, but humans have inserted their own opinions and viewpoints into it, which you can scan the whole thing and pull it out, because if there's anything fear-based or limited in any sort of way, saying you cannot do this or X, Y, and Z happens, this is a no, this is a yes. Based off of the last episode I recorded, there is no just good or bad. And that is how that 1,000 frequency sees it. So the minute you start putting on labels, you now just altered that 1,000 frequency information and brought it back down to 140. So it could sound pretty or have a lot of really good spiritual concepts around it, but the minute you put a low frequency ball of information with it, you've just diluted everything back down. For me, my biggest characteristic as a child, you can ask anybody, is if you gave me a rule, you were for sure going to see me break it. I have in me, tell me I can't do something and I will find a way, because there is no rules. There is no, there's no way of doing something. There's just, how do we find it? There is no right or wrong. It's like, no, it's both. I mean, I fought tooth and nail anytime a limitation came up in my life as a kid, and there were many of them. And so for me, I want to encourage you just on a simple level, if you're not using your intuition to measure things, and really you want to make sure that's even clear, is that just ask yourself, does this make me feel limitless? Or does this make me feel limited? And that should tell you, are we going towards the higher frequency or are we going towards the lower frequency? If there's any aspect of it feeling limited, and I mean, you could say, well, I don't feel limited, but I don't necessarily feel limitless, then there's some aspect of your body picking up a limited piece in there. A great example of this is that belief that we are all one. Sounds so pretty, right? So expansive. So yes, we are all one. Yes, that totally makes sense. Yeah, we all come from the same light frequency that I call source. But as we come down as souls and individuals, we all have a specific mission. We have soul knowledge, soul skill sets that only we have from lifetime after lifetime. And we bring that into every lifetime, that we are very different and unique, and we are all very special in our own ways. So having this belief of we are all one actually can limit you from knowing how special you are. And that can actually shut down your power. It can shut down your light. And when I say power, you want your light to be expansive and limitless. You don't want the rubber bands on it. So you want to have these beliefs that are all about, does it make me feel expansive? And the minute you have something that you've been using for a few years and then all of a sudden it feels limited, you want to adjust it and alter it and change it. Hopefully you all don't hear my little dog walking around, his little pitter patters. um, but you want to know that it's okay to change what you believed a year ago. I think one of my biggest moments in my life, it was like the best thing and the absolute worst thing all at the same time, is when everything crashed and burned in my brain. Like the matrix walls just all fell down because I was doing all of these tools and understanding the world differently. That everything I thought was white was black and everything I thought was black was white. And it was completely opposite of everything I knew. When you start to question, does this feel limitless? Does it not? You start to kind of really pick out information that is source versus not. And it's okay to change what you once used as faith or an anchor point. There was stuff I believed in, and then I realized, oh, that might actually feel limited. I didn't realize how limited that was. And then I adjusted every single time. So a great way of testing if you are going towards light or not is, does this make me feel limitless? Does it make me feel like everything that about this sentence or what I believe in or what I'm using, does that make me step in my power or take it away? Because that is going to help you realize maybe the reason why this isn't working is one, it's limited, so it's actually shutting me down. Or two, it's not the right information to help me heal everything I need in my lifetime. Because again, if you're listening to this, you have the ability to expand your light very wide, but you're gonna need information that actually changes your life, something you can integrate in your life that makes you go towards that 1,000 frequency more versus things that are just kind of keeping you in the same pattern. And I will say it's not easy, right? Like higher frequency information is not easy. Episode number 1, I mean, I started off with a bang with that one, saying like, oh, you have to take full responsibility. This is inside out world. That's not easy. We're all so used to saying, no, it's your fault. It's your fault. That is not an easy thing to change, but it is the higher frequency understanding. It is that 500 frequency understanding of saying, you know what, this is all me. That's not an easy thing to get on board with. And I will say, if there's any part of you that resists any information, I used to say this to clients all the time at the beginning of sessions. If you resist anything, let me know, because that's usually the vein that needs to go down. The minute you resist something, it's just the ego. It's kind of an indication that that is the way you need to go, because that is where the limitations are. So a lot of souls will resist information because the information is like too high frequency for their body to absorb it. And they either don't have all the pieces or their soul's not ready to completely grasp it and take it in. But I bring this all up because, like I said, for so many years, I tried so many things and I thought it was my fault. And it was just because I had the wrong information. And I want you to start to realize, like, it's the information and the teachers that are incorrect. And no offense to all those people, because those emotions have just been passed down. Those beliefs have been passed down, but you don't have to carry them anymore. You don't have to hold the rubber bands around your energy. You can remove them and expand your light. And like I said, in every lifetime, if you're not actively doing that, we move 0.4 to 0.6 on the scale. It's so small, but you can jump from a 300 to a 500, but it's getting the right information to get there. And why is this so important? It's because this is how I changed my life. Everything that felt so limited in my life before now feels expansive. I'm able to conquer things like I never thought I could. And one of the coolest things is, as you grow in frequency, you have access to higher frequency information and ideas. Because again, remember that higher frequency that's where you change the world, you evolve the world. You can't get those good ideas if you're not going towards that frequency, if you're not in that frequency. So the coolest thing that's a byproduct of all of this, and why this is so important and why I live and breathe this, isn't just because it's fun and enjoyable, but because I know if I raise in frequency, I have access to better ideas, better solves, better information. And that's how my life has just gotten better. And then everything in my life physically starts to change and become better. Instead of being a level 2, it's a level 10. So this scale is a really good thing to keep in mind. And if you can't measure it with your intuition, just use that feeling. Does this feel expansive, or does it feel like it's shutting me down in any way? Even if it's neutral, I would even suggest if it's a neutral and it's not opening you up, it's probably keeping you in the same place. Keep in mind that the world is a big illusion sometimes, and things that might sound really high frequency or have, some form of fancy words. That's the best way to put it. Like there's so many words in the spiritual world that people use and really pretty sayings, but they hold no substance because there is a limitation in there. So go towards that higher frequency information and just know this has never been your fault. You just need better tools, better information, and go towards that because that is what has changed my life.